Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football. Kambwala Exit, here we go. 10 million fee. Where will that be invested? Are Manchester United going to sign 3 centre-backs? Because we've got another interesting update coming in on Leny Yoro. Man United also preparing another bid for Branthwaite, but the Ligt set to be the next signing. We will discuss that later in the show. Sancho, will he stay? Will he go? More updates coming in on Jadon Sancho's future from Fabrizio Romano really early hours this morning. Amrabat in, McTominay out. Offers for McTominay coming in. United discussing McTominay sale. Another thing United discussing is apparently Manchester United had talks last night about bringing in Xavi Simons on loan as part of the Ugarte deal with a loan fee. Obviously, he was interested in Bayern Munich, but with them having Elise and them going for Desiree Doue, that might not happen. And obviously, Ruud van Nistelrooy potentially pushing for Xavi Simons on loan. Lots of stories about Xavi Simons. I think that story is heating up. But Ugarte talks progress. Man United go back in again in talks with Ugarte to finalise the Ugarte signing. More news on Ligt, more news on Leny Yoro, more news on potential transfer exits, other transfer ins, and more. We've got updates on Malaysia, pre-season, who's going to be involved. So please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Big show today. And as the Samoan says, we need a defensive midfielder. For me, DM is so important. I like Ugarte, but we need Ugarte plus someone else. 100%. Games are won and lost in midfield. Absolutely agree. The Ligt, Euro and probably Branthwaite could be replacing Maguire, Kambwala, Lindelof and Varane, because we've got updates on Maguire and Lindelof being sold as well. Preferred the Ligt, Diamonde, Hacho. I mean, we've looked at all those options bar Diamonde. I'm sure we've looked at Diamonde, but for some reason, we don't seem to rate him as well. But let's start with the first story. Here we go time. Villarreal are closing in on a deal to sign Willy Kambwala from Manchester United, confirms Fabrizio Romano. Understands to be a permanent transfer around 10 million euros, so about £8 million for Willy Kambwala, and the deal includes a future buyback clause for United. So, look, would I like Kambwala to stay? Do I like Kambwala? Yes. Do I see Kambwala getting minutes? The fact that we're looking to sign 3 centre-backs? Absolutely not. Martinez de Ligt, Branthwaite, Euro. It's not going to be minutes for Kambwala. It's better for him to leave. Considering Man City getting 20 million for Delap, I would have said maybe 15 million euros for Kambwala, which is around 12 million pounds plus a buyback clause of a good price as well. Because if he does reach his potential, we can just buy him back if he is good enough. But at the end of the day, I feel a bit bad for Kambwala. He's had a lot of injury issues. I think he's a great player. I think that it'll be difficult to come through at United considering how many centre-backs we want to sign. But if we can get a fee for him and we can have a buyback clause inserted, I mean, that's all that can be done really in regards to Willy Kambwala. Good player, but his exit from Manchester United seems to be confirmed. We brought him for about 4 million. We make 6 million in profit. At the end of the day, we make 6 million profit, and that isn't a lot of profit. But for Man United, that is a lot of profit because we've only made profit on 2 players. Only 2 players Manchester United made profits from since Alex Ferguson left, and that was Daley Blind and Dan James. And Daley Blind, we made about 200k profit on. The only actual player Man United have made more than like a couple million profit on is Daniel James since Sir Alex Ferguson left. So even just making a little bit of profit on Willy Kambwala, I guess you have to take that as a bit of a dub in Man United days as well. If when Kambwala's being sold as well as McTominay, it's just Eriksen possibly leaving as well as Casemiro, Maguire and Lindelof, that must mean 3 centre-backs and 2 midfielders potentially. So look, me being realistic about the transfer window, 2 centre-backs, 1 midfielder, 1 winger, 1 striker, 1 left-back, 6 signings. I think that will happen. Me being less realistic about the window, assuming that Maguire and Lindelof are sold, I only think one of them will go. Assuming Eriksen, Casemiro and McTominay are sold, then 2 midfielders, 3 centre-backs, winger, striker, full-back. I think it massively depends on sales, but I do think there is a possibility of 3 signings ongoing in the defence and potentially the midfield as well. Gaz says, lovely Alice, but can't wait to turn on Sat. He's staying now, Gaz. He's being backed. You've got to hope that he proves you wrong and that he does well next season. At the end of the day, he's staying. He's got Van Nistelrooy in. He's getting backed. You know, if he doesn't do well next season, he will probably be sacked because he looks like he's going to be getting back. But you've got to hope he does well and hope he never gets sacked and we break the cycle of sacking the managers every 2 years. Zirkzee is done. Zirkzee announcement today, by the way, guys. Man United is set to announce Joshua Zirkzee today. He's officially a United player. We're just waiting on the announcement. The profit from Kambwala sale was less than half of Sancho's yearly salary, which when you put it into those kind of contexts, oh, yeah, I see what you mean as well. If Sancho's back, I don't think we'll get a winger. Well, is Sancho back? What is the latest on that? There is 2 options for Sancho now that there's clarity between him and Tenor. Give him a new opportunity or sell him if proposals arrive. The situation is open. I'm going to break down exactly what's probably going on with Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho making up with Ten Hag was pushed by Ineos for financial reasons. Okay, Ineos will still want to sell Jadon Sancho, and Jadon Sancho will still want to leave Manchester United because he knows he's not Ten Hag's ideal kind of player. What will happen is Ten Hag and Sancho kiss and make up. Boom, done. Cool. Right, now they've made up. Sancho's in training. Now all these clubs waiting till the end of the window to try and get Sancho in on loan, thinking he wasn't going to return to training because he's fallen out with Ten Hag and it's not been fixed. Are like, Man United actually aren't desperate to sell Sancho. People knew we were desperate to sell Sancho, so they're not going in for it. So that £40 million fee you want for Jadon Sancho is now more likely to get paid because clubs are like, yeah, they're not desperate to sell Sancho. Juventus have had strong talks with Jadon Sancho, and Juventus were thinking, 30 million. No, Man United want 40 million. We don't want a loan with an obligation to buy. We want a straight up fee for Sancho. So now I think that Sancho will be sold, but I think it's Ineos doing it in a way to try and make sure they can get the fee for Sancho, because we said in my late night roundup show last night, and I'll cover that later in today's show, that Ineos do not want Sancho going out on loan, and that Ineos pushed that Sancho apologised to Ten Hag and they made up because Ineos want to improve their stance for Sancho in the window. I still believe Jadon Sancho will be sold. We will talk about this at the end of the show because I'll go through some of the news I spoke about last night, but I think there is some interesting updates in regards to Jadon Sancho's future and United. Another interesting story coming in is on Ivan Toney. It said that Ivan Toney wants to join United, and his agent has already informed Brentford that he wants to join Manchester United. Now, there was talks of Manchester United bringing in Ivan Toney alongside Zirkzee. Now, I'm really happy with Zirkzee and Højlund as striker options, but unless Ten Hag is planning on playing a front two with two strikers, I don't think there's any point going for Ivan Toney. Yes, he's Premier League experience, but it's either Ivan Toney or Zirkzee. You don't get both because then you've got Ivan Toney, Zirkzee, Højlund all competing for the same position. 3 strikers is too many. 2 is enough. Look, if we're in a position where, we didn't need 2 midfielders and we didn't need a winger and we didn't need a left back, maybe go and bring in Ivan Toney. But because we need 2 midfielders, because we need 2 centre backs, because we need a left back, because we need a winger, there's no point going and getting Zirkzee and then Ivan Toney. I don't think Man United will bring in Ivan Toney, especially when you're looking at around 50 million fee. I'm sure Ivan Toney would want to come to Manchester United, I'm sure. But again, Christian Falk, he's not the most reliable when it comes to Premier League news. Only Bundesliga news you can really count him for. I assume that we're not looking at Ivan Toney. I have a feeling that probably doesn't happen. But The Athletic did say we're looking at bringing him in on top of Zirkzee. So it's one to watch. But personally, I'd invest that money in a winger. I'd invest the money you're going to spend to bring Ivan Toney in. Now you've got Zirkzee in a winger, because what's the point for me of signing both Zirkzee and Ivan Toney? I do apologise if we've got a little bit of lag there as well. Kambwala going, heartbreak. Kambwala going is obviously sad, but at the end of the day, I think it's probably what was best for him because he wasn't going to get minutes at United as well. If Simons signs, Bruno's are going to see you later. Well, Xavi Simons would sign to play out wide. Should we get into the Xavi Simons news? Because there is some big updates, news and stories coming in on Xavi Simons. Let me just get through these stories first. The decision on Amrabat's future will be made this week. The purchase option is still valid, said Fabrizio Romano. We will make a decision on Amrabat this week. Sam C report said that McTominay could leave Manchester United with interest from Galatasaray. A member of Galatasaray party is in Manchester to discuss the deal. I'm going to be honest with you. Turkish clubs will bid like 15 million for McTominay and take the absolute mick. I think we're not that desperate to sell McTominay. We can get about 40 million from him from English clubs. I also think that McTominay doesn't want to go to Turkey. He'll probably want to stay in the Premier League. I think an Amrabat decision will be made next week. So maybe he'll come in on top of Ugarte. Maybe if United believe that McTominay will be sold, we will then go and get Amrabat in. It's also said that Man United legend David De Gea may retire if he doesn't find another club. And to be fair, I know that De Gea isn't a modern ball-playing keeper, but the fact that there's no club that's actually swooped up De Gea is quite sad, because I think people tried to make out De Gea was awful and a lot worse than he was, and I think that media negativity De Gea got is actually really made it difficult for him to get a new club, if I'm going to be totally honest. I'm so surprised he hasn't got a new club. I know that we had to sort of move him on because of the way we wanted to play, but the fact that David De Gea still hasn't found a new club is a little bit worrying, and he might retire as well, which is a little bit sad. But let's talk about the news on Xavi Simons. Casemiro and Eriksen both 100% leading. Casemiro's 99% leading. Eriksen's probably 70% leading, if I'm going to be honest with you guys as well. But I want to talk about Xavi Simons. I want to talk about some news stories coming in on Xavi Simons to United. And United held talks last night for both Ugarte and Xavi Simons. So this is what's coming in. Manchester United last night held talks for both Ugarte and Xavi Simons. So what else has been said? Man United held conversations in the last 24 hours about bringing Xavi Simons in on loan. Oh, Xavi Simons, spell check there. Manchester United line up a shock move for Xavi Simons. He faces a big decision over his future with United hot on his heels, and United are looking at PSG to sign Xavi Simons. So this is the first part of the stories coming in on Xavi Simons. Now, Man United have held discussions in the last 24 hours about Ugarte and Xavi Simons with PSG, and Man United are really hot and really want to bring Xavi Simons on loan. Like we want Leny Yoro, and we put in that bid for Leny Yoro, and that was accepted. Man United apparently willing to do the same for Xavi Simons. Apparently, Man United's interest in Xavi Simons is serious. Like Leny Yoro, they'll put in the loan offer PSG wants to get the deal accepted. The question is, does Xavi Simons want to go to United on loan? It's a little bit like the Leny Yoro situation. Man United are ready. They're ready to prepare everything to get Xavi Simons in on loan. Like they have with Leny Yoro, they just need the player to agree to the deal, and we don't know about that. We know Ugarte will say yes to United. We know Ligt will say yes to United. We don't know if Leny Yoro will say yes to United. We don't know if Xavi Simons will say yes to United. We do know Branthwaite will say yes to United. So I think to these next 24 hours or 48 hours will be quite big, because I think in the next few days we're going to have some interesting updates on Xavi Simons. We know that his ideal option was Bayern Munich apparently, but I think we're going to have some really interesting news and updates on Xavi Simons to Manchester United in the next 24 hours. So make sure you're subscribed as well. Have I moved house? I'm on holiday as well. Someone said Christian Folk report. The Christian Folk report on Ivan Toney, I would take with a pinch of salt. I would. If I was going to be totally honest with you, the Christian Folk report on Ivan Toney, I would take with a pinch of salt. Spurs have opened talks with Desiree Doue as well. So if Man United do want Desiree Doue, but maybe they've gone for Xavi Simons over Desiree Doue now, I'd expect that to heat up in the next few days, with Bayern and Spurs actually in talks for Desiree Doue as well. Yes, Villarreal closing in on a deal for Willy Kambwala. Here we go, is accepted soon. So yeah, let's dive into the next stories. Let's dive into the next part of the show. Some more updates coming in on the likes of Xavi Simons and Ugarte. I mean, there's a lot of news coming in this morning. Guys, please do hit that like button if you have not already. And of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new and want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, takeover updates, and more. I go live every single evening on the channel, and every single morning as well. So if you do want to stay up to date, make sure you subscribe. We're live about 8:45 in the mornings, and then we're probably live about 4 p.m. in the afternoon. And then if you don't have time to tune into my live show and you don't want to miss out on the news, about 9:30, 10 p.m. at night, there's a 10-minute video that rounds up all the Manchester United news that happens that is relevant in that day for you guys. But what else has been said on Xavi Simons? It's been said that PSG have made it clear they do not want to sell Xavi Simons. Manchester United are one of those with an interest in the Dutch star. A loan deal is possible, said Graham Bailey. So PSG do not want to sell Simons, but they want him to go out on loan because he doesn't want to go back just yet. It was then said by Court Offside that Manchester United has asked about Xavi Simons and United could push for a deal after they miss out on Elise. Now we've missed out on Elise. Now we're probably going to miss out on Desiree Doue with Bayern Munich and Tottenham hot on the heels of that deal. Manchester United apparently have now inquired about Xavi Simons. So we've got basically last night we made an inquiry about Xavi Simons. We've opened talks with PSG over Ugarte and Xavi Simons, both of them. We could make a shot soon for Xavi Simons. We're hot on it. Like Leny Yoro, we're hot on Xavi Simons. They're saying potentially it just depends if Xavi Simons wants to come to United. Sky say we're looking at Xavi Simons. PSG won't sell. It would probably be a loan deal. Man United have asked about Xavi Simons. United can now push for it because they missed out on Elise. And the Queep said that Manchester United are among teams who've approached PSG about the potential signing of Xavi Simons. The French side are likely to prefer a loan move instead of a permanent deal as well. So we've got French sources coming out with an update on Xavi Simons. I think a permanent deal would be expensive. So I think Manchester United getting a loan for Xavi Simons, which could give them the budget to then get the midfielder and the centre-back they want, isn't necessarily a bad thing. The way I see it is, okay, we get Ugarte, Bosch, we might even get Ugarte on loan, but I don't think PSG would give us both Ugarte and Xavi Simons on loan. Imagine if we got a double loan deal with PSG for both Ugarte and Xavi Simons. That would be insane. Like, imagine this. Zirkzee done, that's about £40 million. Ligt done, that's about £40 million. Ugarte done, that's about £40 million. That's £120 million, 3 players. Euro takes it to 170 million pounds, but with the sales that have already happened, 150 million net spend on those 4 players. So anything else we buy has to come from what we sell, because we can't have more than 150 million net spend. Well, we're going to sell Greenwood, we may sell Sancho, we may sell Casemiro. That's the funds for another midfielder. That's the funds for a left back. You now get Xavi Simons in on loan. You've got more funds left over to say, oh, could we get that third centre-back signing? And could we go and do that Ivan Toney deal that Christian Folk is talking about? I think Xavi Simons, would probably be a 50, 60 million pound player, but we could be getting him on loan. And look, I like the idea of him being on loan with an obligation to buy, or at least an option to buy. I don't like the idea of we have him on loan and then he goes right back to PSG and it's a short-term solution. But when we're a little bit thin in attack, well, we're not thin in attack because we've still got Sancho, we've still got Greenwood, we've still got Antony. But when you look at the wingers, you've got Rashford and Garnacho on the left and Amrabat and Garnacho on the right. We need at least one more quality winger because I don't think Sancho will stay, and we will get into more detail on that, on the Sancho situation. I don't think Antony's good enough. Greenwood will go. And look, we've got Shea Lacey, brilliant player, but he's injury prone, 16, a little bit early as well. So I think, like someone like Xavi Simons on loan could be smart and beneficial from United. And as I said, and I said this in my video yesterday, Man United's interest in Xavi Simons it has been very long term. This was what was said by Romano, back in December, that Manchester United were really pushing behind the scenes to sign Xavi Simons when he was on loan at PSG. There are Premier League clubs interested in him this summer. Manchester United were in pole position to sign Xavi Simons this summer if the player refused to return to PSG following an activation on their buyout clause. We were told last summer that Man United were in pole position to sign Xavi Simons last summer. The interest is there and long-standing. We've got Christopher Vivel coming in, who worked at the RB clubs and is a big fan of Xavi Simons and is pushing for Man United to now go for Xavi Simons, according to reports. We've got Ruud van Nistelrooy, who came in, who was working with Xavi Simons at PSV. Man United's problem is, can they convince Xavi Simons to join us? Xavi Simons has got a lot of clubs offering him a loan move. But the problem is he's always preferred the Bundesliga to the Premier League. But now we've got Ruud van Nistelrooy in, who's worked with Xavi Simons. Now we've got we're pushing down PSG's ears. Could we convince Xavi Simons? It was also said that Xavi Simons will not be at PSG next season. Man United and other top clubs will compete to sign Xavi Simons this summer. So in terms of Xavi Simons, we've had conversations with him in the last 24 hours. We could line up a shot move for him. We're hot on his heels. We're really trying to push for Xavi Simons, apparently. PSG have said, look, loan deal, that they're open to it. We've opened talks with PSG last night, again, about Ugarte and reportedly Xavi Simons. Now we've missed out on Elise. We're pushing for Xavi Simons and not Desiree Doue. And that Man United are among teams that approach PSG about Xavi Simons. It's just Xavi Simons has got a choice to make. Xavi Simons has got a choice to make, and hopefully that choice is Man United. Potentially, do you know what's interesting? It'll be interesting to see if PSG would be open to Sancho. The one thing is, PSG have only really expressed an interest in Rashford, not Sancho. And I also think because PSG keeps saying loan deal for Xavi Simons, I don't think they will do anything kind of permanent, and the Sancho deal would be permanent as well, unless you did like a loan swap sort of situation as well. Xavi should take the PL challenge. He can only improve as a player if he does. Yeah. Apparently he wants to go to Bayern Munich as well. Apparently Xavi Simons wants to go to Bayern Munich, but Bayern Munich have signed Elise. They're about to sign Desiree Doue. I get that he'll probably play as a number 10 at Bayern Munich, but he has predominantly played as a wing on the wing at Leipzig. So it'll be interesting to see as well. Big up everybody. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Big up Morning Glory Uganda. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. I go live around 8:45 a.m. UK time every evening for about 40 minutes where I get into all the United news and discuss it with you guys. I also do another live stream normally any time between about 4 and 5 p.m. Sometimes even earlier, around 3. So make sure you subscribe with the post notification bell on, where I cover all the news and stories that come out in the afternoon. And then if you don't have time to tune into a 40-minute live show, do not worry. About 9:30, 10 p.m. every single evening is the late night transfer roundup, where I round up all the relevant news from reliable sources in less than 10 minutes for you guys. So you can be up to date on all the day's news in 10 minutes if you can't catch up on the live stream. So please do subscribe if you're new. But I want to get into the next few stories. We've got 850 people watching. We're only on 160 likes, guys. Come on. Let's go for 400 likes. Just half of you need to hit that like button right now, and we can hit 400 likes, and you guys are the best, so I believe we can do it. So please hit that like button, because I want to get into the Ugarte news, because the Ugarte news, I tell you what, Ugarte, we got some stories. We got some stories on Ugarte to Manchester United. So finally on Xavi Simons, as mentioned earlier, United were in pole position to sign Xavi Simons after his loan at PSV. Man United wanted to get a permanent deal done. Man United were really interested in Xavi Simons. The player has also refused to return to PSG. Now, Xavi Simons will not be at PSG next season, and United are among top clubs in for him. Like Leny Yoro, Xavi Simons has got a decision to make. If we can wake up tomorrow and it said that Xavi Simons wants to go to United online and Leny Yoro has agreed personal terms with United, well, then Leny Yoro will be done, and I assume Xavi Simons will be done as well, which would be absolutely fantastic. I mean, the Paul of Ineos would be crazy, and we've got some Leny Yoro updates coming in, so let's talk about that as well. Ugarte news is getting a little bit exciting. I like Ugarte, but I'm going to make this clear. If you sign Ugarte, we also need to sign another midfielder that's comfortable in possession that can play in the dual pivot. I want to make that clear. We have to. And we've probably missed out on Youssouf Fofana. He's agreed in personal terms with AC Milan, but so does Zirkzee, and we've got Zirkzee, so you never know. So what's been said on Manuel Ugarte? So let's talk about the news that came out yesterday. There were talks about a deal structure for Manuel Ugarte. Maybe it's a loan with an option to buy, maybe it's a permanent. Man United have had talks again last night with PSG about can we get Xavi Simons on loan and also structuring a Ugarte deal. Man United have got the green light from PSG to say, look, you can come and you can buy Ugarte. We're going to sell him. Man United have got the green light from Ugarte. He said, I want to move to United. Man United have had really positive talks with Ugarte and his agent. So Man United are currently right now in conversations with PSG. Now, the focus for United still seems to be Matthijs de Ligt, so I expect that deal to be done ahead of Ugarte. I think now Zirkzee's done, it's getting de Ligt done probably Monday, Tuesday next week. And then maybe in a week's time, Thursday, Friday, we get Ugarte done. Potentially between then, if we can get a Leny Yoro agreement, we also get Leny Yoro done. It was said that the position of Manchester United and PSG have become closer regarding Ugarte. The file is progressing positively. Manuel Ugarte is open to leaving PSG and is tempted by the challenge at Manchester United. It was said that Manchester United believe they're close to getting a deal agreed to sign Manuel Ugarte, said Le 10 Sport. So lots of French sources and lots of reliable sources saying we're in talks with PSG about how we're going to structure the deal. We're getting closer to getting that deal agreed for Ugarte. It's progressing well. And they've also then talked about Manchester United looking to include a Xavi Simons on loan for any potential deal with Ugarte. Yes, guys, if you have just joined today's live show, this is the latest on Willy Kambwala. Villarreal are closing in on a deal to sign Willy Kambwala from Manchester United. My understanding will be around 10 million euros, which is about 8.5 million pounds, I believe, for the 2004 born centre-back. The deal will include a future buyback clause for Manchester United. So Man United probably going to get about £8 million for Willy Kambwala and a buyback clause in it. He's got 1 year left on his contract. They don't want to lose him for free. I think because we're looking to sign 3 centre-backs, Willy Kambwala probably knows his time is up at United and he's reluctant to commit his future to United, I think, because he wants game time as well. So yes, Willy Kambwala has officially been sold as well. Willy Kambwala has officially been sold for around 10 million euros, people, as well. Ugarte hasn't been good enough for the French league, so he shot to delight United after him. Look, I have question marks around Ugarte. He was not good at PSG, but he was fantastic at Sporting. But you've got to remember this. Ugarte was signed by PSG, and then after they signed Ugarte, who's an out-of-possession player, they signed a possession-based manager where the 6 being a possession-based player like Busquets, like Rodri is the most important thing for him. And he has Ugarte that isn't a possession-based player. He would love Maino. He wouldn't like Ugarte. Man United are happy to have someone like Ugarte do the Michael Carrick job, break up the play, and have Maino, because he's so good on the ball, do the work next to him. Now, I think we need 2 midfielders. I don't think bringing Ugarte solves the problem because I think bringing Ugarte is a risk. He's not had a good season at PSG, but I also know he doesn't suit the PSG system. I think if you can get Ugarte and a player that's good in possession off the back of a good season to come into the midfield, and you've got Ugarte, I'd say Youssouf Fofana or Weaver, but they've gone. Ugarte, mystery midfielder, Kobbie Mainoo, Bruno Mount, I think that's a good midfield. But I agree, there is some speculation and fear over Ugarte, but I think it's a good signing. And obviously, if you've just joined, Willy Kambwala is leaving Manchester United. Here we go, coming soon, says Romano as well. But let's go back into the news. Obviously, Sancho still probably expected to go, but could stay. Ivan Toney apparently said he wants to join United, but I don't think that happens. Amrabat decision will be made next week. McTominay is in talks with Galatasaray about his future, but again, it's expected that McTominay will not go to Galatasaray, so I don't think the news about McTominay leaving is very credible. De Gea might retire. Xavi Simons, if you've just joined, had conversations with United last night about a loan deal. United lining up a loan deal for Xavi Simons. They're hot on that. Man United want Xavi Simons on loan. They're pushing for it. Now they've lost out on Elise. United have approached PSG about signing Xavi Simons on loan. We obviously were in pole position to sign him last year. And then obviously the latest on Ugarte is we're having talks with PSG, not just about signing Xavi Simons on loan, but also structuring a deal for Manuel Ugarte to United. Someone said it looks like Bruno's leaving. What do you mean it looks like Bruno's leaving? Can you extend on that, what you're hearing? Because as far as I'm aware, I don't think Bruno Fernandes is going to leave Man United unless some stories just come out right now that I've missed. I know that Bruno Fernandes is... what am I saying? I know that Bruno Fernandes will not go to Saudi Arabia. Maybe he goes to a PSG, doubt it. Maybe a Bayern Munich, who knows? What is the latest on De Ligt? What is the latest on a few other stories? Well, we're going to dive into that. It was said an agreement for the signing of Matthijs De Ligt is getting closer. They're now willing to meet Bayern's asking price of 42 million plus add-ons. United want it wrapped up as soon as possible. So Bill is saying an agreement for Matthijs De Ligt is really close. Now Zirkzee deal is set to be announced today, guys. Joshua Zirkzee to Man United is set to be announced today. It's said potentially keep an eye on De Ligt. The agreement is very, very close as well. Also, Omar Barada starts work at Manchester United today, apparently, as well. And yes, Ivan Toney told Brentford he would like to join United, but I don't know how much credibility is in that news. So, in regards to Matthijs De Ligt, I think there could be movement there as well. We've got updates on Malacia. We've got updates on some other stories as well. Here is the latest on Leny Yoro, and this is just, again, a bit of a repetitive news from Fabrizio Romano, but I'll just give you the latest here on Leny Yoro to United. It was said the president of Lille was pushing Leny Yoro to join Manchester United. Manchester United made a proposal to Leny Yoro. Lille wants him to join United. It's up to him. United will not wait forever. I think we'll probably know in the next 48 hours what is going on with Leny Yoro to United. Leny Yoro is still having talks with Man United. Real Madrid are looking at alternatives to Leny Yoro because Leny Yoro said to Real Madrid, I'm not going to reject United yet. I need to think about it. Like, this is a good offer. Man United are telling Leny Yoro, we could give you more game time than Real Madrid. We were more interested in you than Real Madrid. We're making the bid for you now. Lille and Man United are really pushing it on Leny Yoro. Real Madrid is saying, wait for us. His dream is Real Madrid. But he's also saying, well, Man United are giving me a really good offer. They want me now. It helps Lille. Leny Yoro's quote tweeting stuff to say, no, it's not that I don't want Man United. Leny Yoro is saying, it's not that he doesn't want Manchester United. No, he's confirming that Real Madrid are looking at alternatives to Leny Yoro, and it was said that Man United wouldn't have made a bid for Leny Yoro if they felt that the player was only ever going to go to Real Madrid, and that the fact that Leny Yoro is now choosing between Man United and Real Madrid. He's not interested in Liverpool, he's not interested in PSG, he said no to them, but he's choosing between Man United and PSG because apparently Ineos have done a good job in presenting the project to Leny Yoro, which is really exciting as well. I'm hoping Yoro can make his decision today so we could move on for another target. Look, 100%. I don't think we're going to go for Diamonde, but I've always said we should be looking at Diamonde as well. Yoro can't reject immediately as it would be disrespectful to his parent club who want to cash in on it. He would look selfish if he does not consider that, absolutely. And apparently Leny Yoro is seriously considering a move to Manchester United, but United are giving him a deadline by apparently next Thursday to agree to that as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. What do you think happens with Amrabat? Man United will make a decision on Amrabat next week. I don't know. Maybe he comes in as a second midfield signing. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Decision on that next week. So, as we know with Leny Yoro, if he agrees to join United, here we go. Everything is done for Leny Yoro to join United. We just need his agreement. And sources are suggesting that Leny Yoro agreeing to Man United is more likely than what was first thought. So, we have to wait and see. We can only see with that, but look, I will keep you updated on all the latest in regards to Leny Yoro more. So if you are subscribed to Alice Talks Football, you can stay up to date on all that news. Let's dive into some more updates on the outs potential sales going on inside Manchester United. There's a few potential sales potentially happening. It was said Juventus still pushing to Man United to sign winger Sancho. Juventus still pushing to sign Manchester United winger Jadon Sancho. Even though Jadon Sancho is staying at United, Juventus is pushing for that move. Man United will only sell for around £40 million. But Juventus will need to sell to make that happen. Apparently, once Juventus have sold Kizea, am I saying that right? Kizea, however you say it. Apparently, once he's sold, they will move for Jadon Sancho, and Man United are confident they can get a $40 million deal done, is what is being suggested by the reports. Man United now, Sancho's returning to training. We're happy with Sancho. He's not going out on loan. Things are all happy and Larry with Sancho and Ten Hag. It's Ineos' financial game to get £40 million from Juventus for Sancho. Juventus will sell a player. Juventus will make a move for Sancho. United will look for £40 million. They knew if Sancho had fallen out with Ten Hag, they weren't going to get £40 million because people would take advantage of that. Now Sancho has made up with Ten Hag. It's an Ineos game, Man United game to get £40 million for Sancho. And once there's £40 million for Sancho, they may go for Desiree Doue. but they are hot on the heels of a Xavi Simons loan deal. On top of Jadon Sancho being sold, Facundo Pellistri is expected to be sold. Now Uruguay out Copa America, Man United hoping to get at least 15 million euros for Pellistri. They had a good Copa America. He is also seeking to move away from Man United. It could be a loan deal, but considering he's not on high wages, considering he's had a good Copa America, he's still young, and Man United don't view him as quite good enough for their plans. United are hoping to get about £15 million for Facundo Pellistri. I think we could push for 20 million, but it's Manchester United, and £40 million for Sancho, which could be £55 million for Sancho and Pellistri, plus the £25 million we get for Mason Greenwood, which takes us to around £80 million to get those three wingers out of the club. And that would give us budget to invest in a pretty competent attacker. And then obviously some of those funds will go into the defence as well. So it is quite interesting as well. Chiesa. That's it. Chiesa. And yeah, Hannibal needs to sack his advisors who told him to go to Sevilla. Sevilla was a graveyard for United players. Yeah, Sevilla just want to get loads of players in on loan when they panic without a plan for them, just so they've got the options and players there. I agree as well. So it's Chiesa. That's it. Chiesa out, Sancho in is expected to happen. What else has been going on in regards to United? It was said that Timo Malacia is still recovering from his knee surgery last season. He's away from first team training. There's no time frame on when he'll return to training. So there's no time frame or update on when Malacia will return to training. The fact that it's been a year and he's still not back in normal training is very, very concerning. If I'm going to be totally honest with you guys, still not back into training. I am a little bit concerned about that situation, if I was going to be totally honest with you. But look, there's not much we can do. He's obviously not going to be sold. I just hope he can get back to his best. You know me, I like Malacia. I thought he offered some good stuff next season as well. So yeah. Anyone check Leny Yoro's salary? This kid is still on an academy player salary, not even 7k per week. I mean, Leny Yoro's salary increase going to United is going to be massive as well. So I'm sure he won't want to stay at Lille for another season. The thing is, there's a point where Leny Yoro will have to stay on Lille. Basically, Leny Yoro is not on 7k a week. So this gives Man United a really strong situation for Leny Yoro. Thank you for saying this, Nixon. Because basically, Leny Yoro has got to trust that Real Madrid will pay enough money for him to leave this season. Leny Yoro is on peanuts money, and he's not going to sign a new deal at Lille because he wants to go to Real Madrid. Okay, so if he's on peanuts money, he doesn't want to stay at Lille another year and make peanuts money because he's not signing a new contract. So his option is you can go to Man United right now and you can make good money, or you have to trust that Real Madrid are going to make a good enough offer for you at the end of the transfer window, but Real Madrid is saying we're not going to budge on our offer. And we're not going to sell you to Real Madrid for that fee. So you're going to stay here and be poor for another year, and then you can get your dream move to Real Madrid. Not poor, he's still on good money. That was a really bad way of phrasing it. Or you go to United. I think that puts United in a much stronger position than people think for Leny Yoro, because he stays at Lille another season and he goes to Real Madrid because Real Madrid apparently not going to up their offer. He's not going to make much money at all next season. Whereas if he goes to United, he can start making good money, real good money, from next season. So you look at that and you go, well, Lille aren't going to sell me to Real Madrid because they're not going to give what they want. So I can either stay at Lille a year and not sign a new contract, obviously, and not make much money, or I can go to United and potentially even be a regular at United. I think that puts Manchester United in a really strong position when it comes to signing Leny Yoro. I really do think that Man United are in a much stronger position than people think when it comes to Leny Yoro, because he's got to hope that Real Madrid up an offer for him. Now, Real Madrid aren't going to pay 42 million, but Real Madrid would at least have to put 35 million in by end of August. Real Madrid's tactic is Lille won't want to lose Leny Yoro for free because of financial reasons. Why don't we wait until right at the end of August when he hasn't gone anywhere, and we'll bid around 30 million to get it done. We're not going to pay the 42 million plus add-ons to 50 million they want, but we'll bid 30 million. They've only bid 17 million now. Leny Yoro's got to hope that Lille would accept 30 million from Real Madrid. And that's what Real Madrid will bid at the end of the season, and that deal will be done. They don't 100% know Real Madrid will bid that, because Real Madrid are now looking at alternatives to Leny Yoro, and he doesn't know Lille will accept that. Lille is saying to Leny Yoro, go to United, we've accepted a bid, we've accepted an offer. You're just going to be here another season if you stay at United on poor wages, and then you can get your move to Madrid, but then we don't get any money for you, and it doesn't help the club that supported you, the help that grew you up. So I think that puts United in a much stronger position than people think in regards to Leny Yoro. Big up Mick in the chat, MUFC Realist TV, gifted 5 Alice Talks football memberships. Appreciate that, Mick. big up as well. In terms of ability, Doue is a tier above Simons. Right now, Desiree Doue is not as good as Xavi Simons, but potential-wise, yes, I think he will be a better player than Xavi Simons. Both Leny Yoro wins and his club wins and United wins. I think Leny Yoro to United could really update. Madrid bid will not be accepted. Lille have made that clear. Madrid are hoping that, like they did with Rennes and Camavinga, if they bid on deadline day, Lille are like, crap, well, we're going to lose them for free next year. We're going to take this crap, pathetic 30 million bid from Real Madrid that get Leny Yoro on the cheap. Now, there's no guarantee that Lille accept that, and there's no guarantee that Real Madrid bid that, but that's what Real Madrid plan to do. So Lille is saying, join Manchester United. Otherwise, you're here for another year on poor wages. We're not going to upset what Real Madrid are going to do, so we'll lose you for free, and it doesn't help us. Everyone is pushing for Leny Yoro to join United, and Leny Yoro has, refused to comment on this situation. Leny Yoro, when people were making out that Leny Yoro didn't want Man United, he quote tweeted that and said that's not true. Leny Yoro, from credible sources, Florian Plettenberg, is seriously considering United. Leny Yoro has told Real Madrid he's considering the United offer. Whether that's Leny Yoro's camp using Manchester United to try and see if that gets Real Madrid to put in a good offer because they're now scared that Leny Yoro is going to go to United. The problem is Leny Yoro has made it so clear he wants Madrid and only Madrid, and he'll wait for Madrid, that Madrid aren't going to move. So whether that's Leny Yoro's camp using Man United, that is another situation to potentially be discussed there as well. But it is definitely updating Leny Yoro to United. It's definitely one to keep an eye on as well. Euro should ask for Varane. United fans are the best fans in the world. Even the whole world is against you. United fans will always back you. For the most part, yeah. I mean, the fact, Leny Yoro could ask for Varane. We've got some French players around the club as well. I mean, I would really hope that Ineos's project could get Leny Yoro in. I think, to be honest, we've convinced Dan Ashworth to leave the richest club in the world in Newcastle for United. We've convinced Omar Barada to leave the City Group for Manchester United. We've got the pull of getting Ruud van Nistelrooy in. He turned in other head coach offers as well to come to United. The Ineos pull is there. Oh, guys, interesting story today. Interesting. Let me share my screen. Let me get this up on the screen here. This is interesting. So we've got this here. Omar Barada has updated his Twitter to say CEO of Manchester United. Breaking, Omar Barada has now updated his social media profiles to confirm he's the CEO of United, and he starts today. So Omar Barada, the new CEO of Man United, will give him a follow. Starts today. Look at that, bish bash bosh. And I tell you what, I'll do a video talking. I'm going to do a video maybe today, maybe tomorrow, this week. I'll do a video this week talking about the changes that Omar Barada plans to make at Man United. Omar Barada plans to make some interesting and big changes at United. So I'm definitely going to do a video update talking about that. But good to see that Omar Barada is in Manchester United. Good to see that Omar Barada is here. Omar Barada is official, and we will talk about that in more detail, maybe in a video later this week, and some changes that Omar Barada will be making at United. If you have not already, please do go ahead and hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new as well. Good news coming in as well. And Omar knows what colour Manchester is. Omar Barada knows that Manchester, guys, is red. Omar Barada's aware. You know what? Manchester is red. So I want to just dive into a little bit more context on the Sancho situation. Obviously, covered a lot of this in my video last night as well. Him and Ashworth should have their own YouTube channel about gardening, all that gardening they. But let's talk about Jadon Sancho, okay? So obviously Jadon Sancho returned to training. As you can see, Jadon Sancho is there in training. But what did it mean? It was basically said on Sancho that he held positive talks with Ten Hag this week and is available for selection moving forward. Rob Dawson said that Erik Ten Hag had a positive meeting with Sancho at Carrington this week. Sancho reflected on the past issue and both agreed to draw a line under it and move on. Did he apologise? Who knows? I think Ineos probably pushed this deal to be sort of made up. Sancho will not travel to Norway for Man United's friendly against Rosenborg on Monday, having resumed training a few weeks later than others. However, he will be available for selection after that, and the focus is now on Jadon taking a full part in pre-season, United sources confirm. Mason Greenwood is leaving, but for Jadon Sancho, the situation could be open, said Romano. Jadon Sancho made his first move and Ten Hag welcomed the decision, although neither side are yet confirming if an apology was made. Sancho held talks with United this week, which prompted a meeting from Erik Ten Hag. Sancho had held talks with United about his future, where I believe Ineos said to Sancho, make up with the FA manager. I believe that Ineos were strict on Sancho and told him to make up with the manager. Whether he apologised, I don't know. I think Ineos also told Ten Hag, you've got to accept that apology. And I think that the whole Sancho-Ten Hag situation then was drawn under the line. But I think it was very much like Ineos were very pushing that Sancho and Ten Hag made up. Ineos were really pushing for Sancho and Ten Hag to be made up. Now, I still believe that Jadon Sancho will be sold, but now it's saying that Sancho is closer to staying at Man United. But I think that's just guesswork because he's returned to training. I think he will still leave. Ineos just pushed for them to make up, so Ineos were in a stronger position to sell Sancho. Because what was said on Ineos management, one thing Man United does not want to do is loan out a player without covering his wages or an obligation to buy. So if we loan out Sancho, all his wages need to be covered with an obligation to buy. It was said that Dan Ashworth has a huge focus on harmony and improving the communication and alignment of people within the club. Jason Wilcox knows Jane and Sancho working together with him in the City Academy. And I think there's been a big push from the Ineos management and their appointees to fix the Sancho-Eric situation. And that was said by the Muppeteers. And I think that's absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Dan Ashworth is all about player and squad harmony. Dan Ashworth, that's what he did at Newcastle. He got the culture and environment back, because if player and squad harmony is back, we will play better football. If the players are happy, the squad harmony there will play better football. It's also about changing the environment. That's a priority of Ineos. They're, changing facilities, moving things around. Ineos are massively focusing on changing the environment, which also can reflect on player mood. Dan Ashworth's obviously had a big role in pushing Sancho and Ten Hag to make up. I don't know if there's an apology, but they've been pushed to make up. Now, one thing is that United don't want to do is loan out a player if there's not an obligation to buy and their wages aren't covered. I think this was a financial decision from Ineos to say, look, we don't want any squad, disarray. We want the squad harmony there, but we want Sancho sold, and we're in a strong position to sell Sancho if you can just draw it under the line, because then we can actually get a decent fee for Sancho rather than clubs giving us pathetic offers because they know, oh, we're desperate to get rid of Sancho because of Ten Hag issue. Oh, we'll just send him out on loan. Oh, no, we won't. Give us 40 million. Juventus, you need to sell Chiesa. Cool. Once you sold Chiesa, 40 million for Sancho. Or he's ours. Because do I think Jadon Sancho should come back and play for Manchester United? No, I don't. I think that Sancho acted like such a knobhead for 4 months. He refused to play, that he doesn't deserve to wear the shirt again. And I loved Jadon Sancho. I backed Jadon Sancho. Even when he was playing shy, I said, look, he's obviously got something going on. Let's give him time. He's a great player there. He doesn't deserve to play for this club again. Eric Ten Hag deserves to be able to sell Sancho and bring in the winger that he wants, who wants to be at United and wouldn't refuse to play for this club for 4 months just because he was annoyed that the manager told him to work hard on training and picked Anthony over him. Is Sancho better than Anthony? Yes. Does Sancho improve us on the right-hand side? Yes. But has Sancho been particularly good in his 3 seasons at United? No, he's not really done much for me to say, oh, if we keep Sancho, I don't know if he's going to be good. He could be the same crap Sancho we've had the last 2 seasons when he was here. So for me, it's really important that Sancho is sold. It's really important that Ineos do sell Sancho because of player power, the message it sends. But I like that he's made up with Ten Hag and he's back in training because I think it's a financial decision from Ineos. I think Ineos are very behind. Sancho needs to be sold. His attitude was not good enough. I generally believe that Ineos want to sell Sancho. I just think financially they're going to pretend that they're not too bothered about selling Sancho now when he's back in training, because I think it's a game from Ineos to get the 40 million they want from Sancho, and I think Sancho will be sold. If I was going to give you my honest opinion and breakdown on Sancho. Guys, we've got over 1,000 people watching, so please do hit that like button if you have not already, and of course subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new and want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news and more. Sancho back in training, master stroke to get higher bidders, exactly what I'm thinking as well. And Jadon Sancho would have apologised if we had a good structure that we have now. This goes to show how well placed United is now. I think the fact that Sancho's situation sorted out, we're making bids for players, we're making moves for players, we look like we're going to sell a few players. I do feel we're in a good place. Obviously we need to get deals officially done, but we're quite close on 3 or 4 deals and 2 outgoing. So there's some updates that Casemiro is quite close to leaving United. It was said that Sancho will not return to Dortmund, and that Man United obviously want 40 million for Sancho. Omar Barada officially begins his role as Man United CEO today, because this was said last night. And Dan Ashworth and Eric Ten Hag are ready for Harry Maguire to move out. We know that those in Ineos are pushing Maguire, Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka, Eriksen, McTominay and Casemiro and Jadon Sancho to leave the club and look for offers elsewhere. Same with Mason Greenwood. There's expected that some of those deals are set to advance in the next week, which is probably why Fabrizio Romano said we'll make a decision on Amrabat next week, because other deals are set to advance in the next week. It was also said that Dan Ashworth has made a new contract for Kobbie Mainoo a priority for Manchester United. Ashworth is hoping to accelerate talks over Kobbie Mainoo's extension once the player returns. And obviously, once Dan Ashworth's come in, he approved the Zirkzee signing. He's made another number 6 his priority. Man United are heating up towards for Ugarte. This is all what was said in my roundup last night. But it's good to see that United have a proper structure in place. Really good to see a proper structure in place at United as well. United is just starting the rebuild and we hope it works out exactly. We've got the right structure in place. We've got the right environment in place. I like the players we're trying to sign. I like the players we're trying to sell. It will take time for everyone to gel. We're not going to turn it around next season and win the league. It's a 3-4 year project. Look at Arsenal, 3-4 year project when Arteta came in. It's going to take time. We've got to be patient as United fans, but I do think it's getting exciting. Someone said Xavi Simons, the chameleon, can play various positions. He's a great player of the right mindset. Yeah, let me show you Xavi Simons' stats. Let me get Xavi Simons' stats up. I'll show you where Xavi Simons can play. So if we look at Xavi Simons' career stats here, people, let me get this up. So Xavi Simons in his career has played 43 games as a left winger, where he has 13 goals and 13 assists. So he's got his most goals and assists as a left winger. 13 goals as a 43 games as a left winger with 13 goals and 13 assists. He's played 28 games as a right winger with 7 goals and 6 assists. He's played 26 games as an attacking midfielder with 13 goals and 8 assists. So his best output comes from attacking midfield stat-wise. He's played 10 games as a centre-forward with 5 goals and 7 assists and 5 goals as a central midfielder. So he's played 43 games on the left wing, 28 games on the right wing, 26 games as an attacking midfielder, 10 games as a centre-forward and 5 games as a central midfielder in his career. He also has 13 goals and 8 assists as an attacking midfielder in 26 games and 13 goals and 13 assists as a left winger in 43 games. So I think they predominantly plays a left wing, but he can play attacking midfield and right wing, and he's got good output in attacking midfield. And I think United like his versatility. He's obviously Dutch, which we seem to love at the moment. So I expect Xavi Simons to United to progress. Thank you very much for joining the Members Club, Shiko. Thank you very much for joining the Members Club. Super appreciated as well. I think ultimately his best position is Cam, but he predominantly plays on the left-hand side as well. And I think, for me, if I had to pick between Xavi Simons and Desiree Doue, I would go for Desiree Doue because I think he's more of a natural winger. But look, it's interesting. But yeah, here we go to Stretford Gamer. And look, guys, I'm going to wrap up today's live show, but we did get it. Here we go today. And the here we go that we got today was Kambwala. Villarreal were closing in on the deal for Willy Kambwala to United. My understanding is it will be a permanent transfer for a fee around 10 million euros for the centre-back. The deal will also include a future buyback clause for United. Final details, here we go soon on Willy Kambwala to United. But guys, make sure you hit that like button and of course subscribe down below to Alice Talks if you're new and want to stay up to date on all the latest Manchester United news, updates and more. In today's show, we covered Kambwala, Sancho, Amrabat, McTominay, Xavi Simons and Ugarte, Ligt, Yoro, other transfer news, the latest on Malacia, the latest on Sancho. We got through a lot in today's show, so scroll back if you missed it, if you joined late. Thank you for watching. Smash a like, smash a subscribe. See you next time. Bye.